Hey Eternal, this is Skinless, a guild leader for the Eternal Alliance, and we're going to be looking at Galactic Conquest, Sector 3, which has a feat called Bombs Away. Now, this is where you have to apply 50 thermal detonators to your opponents during this field. So, 50 thermal detonators, it can be a lot or it can be a little, just kind of depending upon how you've set yourself up. If you're like me and you have absolutely just garbage jawas and can't use a cheese method there with Ray or whatever, because I don't have Ray to win and get that, it's, you gotta think of other ways. So you gotta think about bounty hunters, and again, bounty hunters, when you're going against R6 enemies, well, yeah, I still come up short. I only have one gear 13 when it comes to bounty hunters, so you got to get a little creative. So one of the things here that you'll need to get started is specifically 2 discs. So these discs keep coming up as far as for what we talk about in a lot of the other videos I do. That's going to be your deployable cooling systems, which I have the wonderful 15% chance. There is an 8% chance as well that you could use. You could always stack them together, but as long as you have one, you're in a good spot because you're going to be lowering those cooldowns, which is perfect because you need to apply as many thermal detonators as you possibly can every time that you come back to your turns. The other one is going to be the turn meter decay. Now I have the 6.5%. There's a 5% as well. Again, as long as you have one of them on there, you're in a good spot as far as for going forward and being able to properly set yourself up. Now, some other people have used like the defense bonuses. I don't have those. I never came up with those discs, sadly. As well as there's a quickening, things that gain speed. Those are all things I don't have. So with just those 2 discs there, and not wanting to remod my characters or go super heavy on anything, I went ahead and I did this. So I found the easiest mode or node to necessarily go through that I knew I could win, because you have to get a win to have them count. You can't just like apply a bunch of detonators and then die and lose the match and then still go on. So we're going to be going here. What I went ahead and have used to do this is I've gone to my bounty hunters and I've used Bosk, I have used Dengar, and I've used Greedo. Since we're on hard mode, everybody should at this point have Watt Tambor, and really you can, as long as he has the Zeta, he can be 4-star. Doesn't need to be gear 13. I mean, he doesn't need anything crazy like that. As long as you got at least the first turn to apply the weapon tech, you're in a good spot. And then what I went ahead and also did, which at 4 million GP you should probably also have, is going to be Thrawn. You're going to want him quick. Nothing too crazy here as far as what I've used. I mean, my modding is pretty decent on Bosk. I'm with 272 for speed. But in the protection pool, being the 99,548. Those are the factors that you're looking at. I mean, speed on him is great because it keeps you going, unless you keep healing. But the protection pool is going to be a major part of it. The one part you're going to really want to focus on. Dengar, nothing great here. I have not done jack crap with him, but this was fine. Same with Greedo, jack crap. Just nothing. Just absolute garbage. But I was still able to go through and do it. So Watt Tambor, again, he doesn't really matter, but I mean, just to show you this, what I've got on him, just in case you want to know. So make sure you got a Zeta so you can go first. Thrawn, you do want him quick. It doesn't have to be this quick, but I mean, you do want him quick. Doesn't have to survive very long, just live long enough to pass some turns around. So we can go ahead and jump into the battle here with that. Alright, so now that we're in, first thing I've gone ahead and done is I've applied the tank tech there to Bosk, so that way he is going to be off the bat automatically taunting, so that Greedo and Dengar don't just automatically die, which is what I was running into before I pulled in Watt. So again, this is kind of made for those who aren't really sure how to do it without having all the other great tech. So I go ahead and move the turn mirror over to go ahead and have bombs applied, and go from there. And that's how most of this is going to go, is just giving the turn to Dengar and Greedo. I go ahead and I stun here so that I've got less damage coming back to me. So that's another big piece for me, was going to be the occasional stun, because Bosk is going to keep healing himself, so you're not really having to worry about going into taunt because he has the tech applied, which is great. So it doesn't always lower all your cooldowns, so you sometimes have to kind of improvise. So that's kind of what we ended up doing here, with improvising a little bit, taunting on or getting the stun on Tebow so that he's not gonna do those big hits against Bosk. And so I kind of go back and forth between Poplo and Tebow. But again, the main key here is just continuing to apply those bombs. So I don't really need to worry about the weapon tech. I gave the one to Greedo because he's the Bactoid, because he's specifically just a lot more of a blast cannon than anything else, so I didn't want him dying from those AoEs. So from here, you want to keep watching the clock, because at some point you are going to have to kill the Ewoks. You can't just continue letting them do their thing, otherwise you're going to end up running out of time, and then your match does not count. So here we go. We're just going to go ahead and remove turn meter and all the other good stuff there. Again, going for another stun and just passing everything around, putting out more bombs. And you can remod for potency on Dengar and on Greedo to get more bombs applied, and that would help out a bit, but not required. Just one of those things where that's another tip you could use. Another one would be there's a couple discs out there that you can use that are going to be where you gain a turn meter for for every buff that's applied. So those are things to look out for as well, if you happen to have them, for other ways to get yourself going quicker and getting things done. So now that we're at the 2-minute mark, really watching that time, because you have to take everyone out within that small window. So more bombs applied. I'm going to go ahead here and get more bombs applied. And the bombs eventually do kind of take everyone out, but what I went ahead and did here is, because I wanted to make sure that we get this battle done, is I did apply the weapon tech at this point, so that when I do hit with the bombs, they're going to be hitting a lot harder. So we're kind of setting ourselves up to finish up the round. Continuing along, more bombs applied. Wow, and there we go, big hit. So that's how you kind of finish it up, and then roll with it. So there we go. And if I recall correctly, so it's almost impossible to count how many you end up getting, but what we ended up doing here was we ended up getting 48 bombs away. So